Um, Hello. So in this session, we are going to discuss what is there in the. So this is a mock that the purpose of this mock is to have related questions that is going to come in the end term. So as you have all gone through the questions, anyone of you would like to uh, help answering these questions? So two means option B, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is A1 and then 8 and then 3. So let me just open the Excel and then we can have a look at each of these options, what they do. I think what right will do, it will give us the right part followed by column. This should get all the characters from the right side of this particular string, and it should get three characters. And if I do instead of this right, if I just do mid, and then we can start it with 8, and I think it is ending at the 3. S- This is getting us 2, so it is starting from 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then it is starting from 8, and then it will get the three characters. What would this do? Value should be this. Come on. Let me. So what I will do, I will ask LLM, what does this particular function do? So what it says, this text function will uh, give us values in a particular format. So format we have to specify, and here if we say hash is the format, then what it will do, it will get us the numbers by dropping the decimal part. Now let me ask what all are what all different values are possible for this particular parameter. So now I have asked it to generate all these different combinations, and it says this is for extracting the whole number, suppressing decimal parts with exactly two decimal places. So if I pass a number that have more than two decimals, then it will get the two decimals. Then this will add commas as these separators, I think. So what it will do, it will put comma after every three digits. So it will start from the right end of the number, and then it will start putting commas after every three digits. And this will retain two decimals after the mm, so if we have got multiple decimals, then it will retain two decimals, and it will also put these commas at the end. And what this dollar would do as currency. Think this is just a dollar symbol. We can even put another other symbols such as I don't know what is this, and this is rupee symbol. Anyone know which is this symbol?
Euros.
Euro.
Euro. Okay. And then we have these other formats. So if there is a particular date and then we want to format it, then this is one way to format it. And this is another way to format the date. It have got the month in front in the starting along with the month name. So this will convert it into the percentage. So if it is 0.25, so it will just do 25%. Display the number in the specific format. It means example of a big number and so anyone know what this particular AE plus 08 means?
It is raised to the power 10. So it is
So
1.23 into 10 to the power 8.
yes, correct. So we can specify format in this particular format as well. So we can put so what this would do, this will say it should have one a digit before the decimal, and after decimal it will have two digits. Then it will have this E plus some number is there, and that number can be anything between 0 to 99. Bad number with leading zeros to make them 5 digit. So if there is some number, let us say 42, then it will put some extra zeros in front of it. Display full weekday name based on system locale. So example, okay. Can you show me input format? So input would be a date, and after applying this particular thing, so what it will do, it will pick the weekday from our local system. So if today it is 19, then it will consider 19 as Thursday. But if in my local system, if it were Tuesday today, then it will consider it as Tuesday. Okay. The formats of codes. So these are all the possible format that it can take, but we need to verify it before, like, actually assuming that this would work. And then this will get us the month name. So now let's go to the second question.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, can you go to that chat GPT window once?
Yes, Harsh.
Sir, this hashtag, uh, the last fourth, hashtag 0.0.
Yeah.
And what is the difference between this one and the first hash?
First one
So
gives
this
you
will,
whole number.
Hmm? Sorry,
First
not
one,
the first one, the 0.00 thing.
okay, okay.
so
It
you
is
are talking about
basically
this
round
one,
off.
right?
Yes, sir.
Hmm. Okay. Display number with the exactly two decimal places, and display number with one decimal place rounding as needed.
It will round off to the nearest 10. So if you put hash 00.0, then it will round off to nearest 100, like that.
Okay. Let me ask, what is this zero, and then what is the difference between this
No,
hash?
we can try it in Excel itself. No, we will put a number and we will try in Excel.
Correct. So anyone have any idea what is the difference between this zero and this hash?
See, basically hashes, I think it will take the whole numbers and display it. And 0.00, it will display in the format that it has two decimal places.
And
Hash hash
what
hash
is the
will
meaning of this particular zero in front of it?
that doesn't means what to say. I don't think that has any significance. It basically whatever number it is trying to extract, it will display with two decimal points. Displays numbers with exactly two decimal points. If you see the explanation. Means we can try in Excel if we want.
Then we can even use this one. If I
No,
just
this,
put dot 00, then would it be two decimals?
yes, if you put dot 00 means two decimals, but if you put 00.0 means it will round off to the nearest 100. Whatever number we are giving, for example 899 if we are giving, it will round off to 900. So in this case, if you give 899, then it will round off to 890.0.
Okay, so it will round off these two digits. So now if I have 100 and let us say 36 point something, and
Mhm.
instead of this, if I put
Then
hash
put
00, then it will round off using two digits.
it will round off to 0, I guess, the either 1 or 0, because you are giving 36 and you want it as a 3 means nearest 100. So 36, if you convert to nearest 100, it should be 0. Means can you open Excel? We will try some numbers.
Sure.
Let's put a number, say 1, 2, 3, 4. Huh. In Excel, we will put yes, equal to text. Huh. Yes, in double quotes, no? Hash 0.0. Okay.
So what this would do,
Ideally, it should convert to nearest 100. Let's see.
that means it should convert to 1200.
That's what my guess is.
Okay.
1200 point. No.
No.
Sir, I don't think this hash and zero are any different. They are just placeholders, I guess.
If that is the case, then I can even put one instead of
Yeah,
hash.
so maybe could you remove one hash? Yeah, then
You could try that, I guess.
No, it does something different.
I think
maybe
it is
yeah.
expecting that many digits. How many hashes are there? It is expecting that many digits. Is it like that?
I
It
feel
should be rela-
I
should I
feel that
increase one more digit?
hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that the hash represents the numbers are fixed in a way, not fixed. I mean to say that
Sorry, I could not hear you. It was your voice was echoing, I think.
Maybe I think C is right. Like whenever we put hash, I think that thing is like fixed. That
so
Okay,
the first numbers are kind of fixed, and the zeros that we are representing here represents that the function can be changed. That zeros can be changed according to the decimals. So whenever rounding off is needed, it will be changing according to the situation. But the first two numbers of the hash will be always same.
I asked ChatGPT and it is saying that if you use a hash, the trailing zeros are uh, ignored. But if you add zero, it pads the number. If you even add 10 hashes, it won't affect your answer. But if you add 10 zeros, it will give 000, then 51234.
get rid of this. So if I make it 00, and now if I press enter,
No. More than 4 or 5 zeros in the formula.
So in the formula, I should put 5 zeros, is it?
No, it is like that if you put a zero and if the digits are less in your value, it pads them with zero.
Okay, so it will add another zero in front of it.
Yeah. But if you put 100 hashes, it will not add anything. It will just take up the value that you have.
Okay. And what is the difference between adding one hash and multiple hashes? Even one hash works.
Yeah, but this is what Excel give me. This is what ChatGPT give me.
So that is correct. What this is doing, it have got 6 zeros and one hash. And if I put another hash here, does that make a difference? So if I remove some zeros from here and if I put hashes, and now if I add 1 zero here, okay. So I think zero is like these many digits are compulsorily should be there. So if it have less than these many digits, then it will put some extra zeros in front of it. That's what I think. What is difference between one hash and multiple hashes? The difference between one hash and multiple hashes lies in the how numbers are displayed, particularly when they include leading, trial, or embedding digits. Here is detailed explanation. Represent a single optional digit. If there are no digits in that position, it will not display anything. No leading or trailing zeros. So what I'm so if you just keep 4 hashes here, and if I remove these things, so it will put thing like this. Mm,
Jigat, sorry to interrupt, but are we being carried away so much by a little detail? Like we are running out of time right now.
Okay, so yeah, so only difference between putting a zero and hash is zero will put extra zeros that are needed. So if I put more zeros, then it will append those zeros there. And if I just have 3 of them, and if I put something like this, and if I add 2 more zeros, then it will put another zero. So zeros is to make sure that it have got those many zeros in front of it if it's needed. So if instead of this, if I remove these two and if I put a hash, then this should be as it is. And if I put another hash here, then 1 zero should appear. Zero, so hash we can think of it as a placeholder that represent these many digits, but it won't put any extra zeros in front of it. You are building a ENN order to classify customers into three training following training accuracy and testing accuracy based on this information. So anyone would like to answer this particular question? What is happening in this particular case?
If K is increasing, then it is basically doing well. It is generalizing better. Means I think the option C is right. Am I right?
Yeah, so option C should be correct. When we are increasing the value of k, it will generalize better on the test data. What about the variance and bias?
Mm,
So for
basically,
overfitting data, it has low variance.
no, overfitting has high variance, no?
Actually,
Overfitting has
variance
high.
and bias both are inversely proportional, na? So
Uh,
if we have like high variance, then low bias.
Yeah.
So in overfitting, we have low bias and high variance.
So if we have lower value of k, then the bias should be high, right?
No, for lower
No,
moments,
low,
Bias should be low.
low,
bias
yeah.
low and variance should be high.
yes, sir.
If it overfits.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. If it overfits, it small changes in the nearby points lead to a great change in the result. Like if k is equal to 1, it changes severely from point to point. So that's why the variance is high.
So in that case, the option D again also becomes true.
No,
No, no, no.
k is 1 has higher variance, I'm saying.
No,
Okay.
option B means if
So
model
option
is
B says if it is, it won't, we won't call it overfitting, we'll call it under, so it is generalizing better. So if the value of k gets greater and greater in KNN, we don't call it overfitting. It just calculates more distances and then it will uh,
K is
tell,
1 creates overfitting, right?
yeah, because it is just asking from one particular neighbor.
Yeah, but if k increases, it will then underfit.
Yeah,
It will
yeah.
underfit. That means it will have low accuracy on the training data.
Yeah.
That's why option B won't be correct. Right. What about variance and bias?
If k is 1, it has high variance and the bias is opposite.
If the question had an option that K7 has higher bias than K is equal to 1,
No,
will
no,
that
that
be
is,
right?
yeah, that should be right. If k is equal to 7, has higher bias than k equal to 1.
Yeah, that will be correct.
means how can we say it has high bias? Means it is optimal, right? Means even on training data, you get accuracy of 85% and test also 84%, right?
No,
So we cannot say it is
but
as biased, no?
no, when compared to k equal to 1, k is equal to 7 has higher variance, we know that, right? So, since bias and variance are inversely proportional, I think bias should be opposite of that. So, not from the data, it is from general
Okay.
way that k makes
Yeah,
sense.
that is correct. But generally we don't say, means, okay, I am not so not sure about it.
So you can think of it as in, if I create different samples from the data and then if I train it, then on every single sampling, it will give me same kind of result. That's when we call it, it is more generic, and then we say it have low bias if it produces same results on different set of samples.
Okay.
Which module is this from? Sorry.
This might be from week 6 where we have network graphs.
I see this concept is not directly touched upon in any of the modules, but just from our MLT and MLT knowledge, we were able to mark this.
This particular mock is, I mean, this question should not be there in the end term, but I don't know why it is there in mock itself.
Answer is the intern paper is like as mock, because the question in a
Mm,
mock is just like that, no matching with the POIQ, but the concept is matching.
No, it will be different
So
than the mock. So it will have 3 or 4 scenario-based questions where they will give you some comprehension and then they will ask questions based on that particular comprehension. And also these KNN questions should not be there because it have not been taught very well.
okay,
Sir, then the third one is also a KNN question.
No, this is K means clustering question.
So, okay.
So this mock is no way going to help us for the end term, right?
Yeah, that is correct. Because this clustering algorithm is not part of TDS course.
How about the question number 4? Did we get the correct mock or have they uploaded a wrong one? Because half of it is missing anyways. Did they mix up with some other subject?
No. So they are questions of TDS itself. So for example, this is very famous question from it comes up in every single term. So this is from TDS itself. And for example, this particular question talks about application tab, network tab. So this is also a TDS question. And this is also a TDS question. So questions
Will
are
the
from,
rest of the question paper be uploaded today itself?
yeah, they uploaded just before the session.
No, that's
I think
only
so.
8 questions. So there's supposed to be more questions. Is that going to be uploaded today?
Uh, okay, so
So, Rina, just to give you an update on that is, so I've been told by operations that there was some unforeseen problem, so that's why they did not upload the whole set. So I'm expecting that they will upload a second part to this mock. That's my expectation. But I'm still in touch with them to see where it. They said it will be in 20 minutes. Now it's like 35 minutes.
Oh, okay, fine.
So
So they're trying here.
I'm in constant touch with them to try and see
Thank
what's
you.
happened. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Karth.
Also, I want to add up, it's nothing wrong to add up to, I mean, learn two more extra questions. Anyways, we have learned all these things in MLT, right?
Yeah.
So I think we
And
should proceed with the other
yeah.
questions now.
But
And also with regards to K means clustering, they have been there in previous terms as well. So I think that's why they got loaded up here as well. Um, in theory, these are not specifically for TDS. Like you said, they are supposed to be MLT questions. But we've seen that in past PYQs, they've always had at least one question with regards to k-means clustering. So I think because it comes from a question bank, it most likely they've put it in the mock, and there might be one question in the end term also with it. I'm not sure. So it's worth at least being aware of it.
if possible, uh, can you give some summary of K-means or KNN? Because MLT was not a prerequisite of TDS, right?
okay. 7 data. So this is what it is. So if you have these 7 different data points in our xy coordinate, so this is the x coordinate of a data point, and then this is y coordinate of data point. And then we have also got the class of that particular data point. Okay. These are all the points that are there. Now we have a variable called k. So this is to how many different neighbors we need to consider. So if you have got this new data point, and let us say the value of k is 3. So now what I need to do, I need to compare the distance of all these data points. So all those 7 data points, and then I need to consider the voting of 3 nearest points. So if this is the data point, and let us say this is in this point 3 have least distance, and then point 2 have second least distance, and then p4 have third least distance. So what it will do, it will consider these 3 data points, and then it will predict class out of using these 3 data points. So what it will predict, so it will use, so these 3 points have a, b, and b. Then it should predict it as b, because highest number of data points have got class B. So this is what it is doing here. It is calculating distance from each of the data points. So these are so this is the closest data point. Then this is second closest data point, and then this is third closest data point. I just predicted these are the 3 close data points based on their coordinates, and they are really. I mean, my prediction was correct. So it will pick these 3 classes, and then it will say class B is occurring more number of times than class A and B. So then A compared to A. Oh, okay. So P1 have 2.24. So these are the 3 closest points rather than these 3. So now it will use these 3 points, and then it have got A. So did you get the idea? Did you got the idea of KNN algorithm? Who was us?
Yes, Shivraj.
What about this particular question? Anyone would like to answer this question?
So for k-means clustering, we can have a better initializations in order to get good results.
Yes, you are correct. So if you have better initializations, then the algorithm would converge faster as well.
So sir,
So
fixing
anyone?
a good initialization, a good mean initializer would be a better choice for this problem.
So we'll get the recording of the session, right?
Yeah, this session has been is being recorded.
We'll get it today itself, right, sir?
Just after the session, I will upload the session.
Okay, sir. Thank
So
you.
you will
It'll
get
be
it.
in the calendar,
No, on the YouTube you can find.
YouTube. Okay, okay, sir. Thank you.
So anyone want to explain KNN clustering algorithm, how it works?
So these questions are not exactly based on the algorithm. They're more to do about programming part of it. Like they're not algorithm based questions.
Uh, so they are particularly from sklearn module, but also we haven't touched sklearn module in TDS itself. This stuff. But since it is in the last term papers, so it might. So anyone would like to talk about k-means clustering algorithm?
I can say, but I may be wrong at some points. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Basically, in k-means clustering algorithms, there are two ways of initializing centroids. First one is randomly initializing the centroids. So once the centroids are initialized, the distance of every point to its centroid is calculated, and it is mapped to the nearest cluster. So this is how the means, and it happens iteratively because once the cluster is formed, again it will compute the mean of that cluster, and again the clustering will happen. So this is one way, and another way is initializing the clustering using scoring method. So using scoring method, it initializes the cluster so that all the midpoints are like equidistant from each other, and it runs the algorithm to cluster the points. Basically, it calculates the distance between each point to the centroid, and it maps the point to that centroid.
And what is use of this particular n underscore clustering?
It is number of clusters we want to initialize. 2, 3, 5, 10, whatever, how many clusters we are trying to do. So we generally experiment with the different number of clusters to see how it is coming up.
And for any algorithm, what is use of random state?
Random state, basically, if you want a reproducible or to say output, then we fix a random state so that the seeding is not random every time. Whatever seed we are giving, it uses that to generate the means it uses that and does the calculation.
And if you have a smaller value of max iter, then how would it affect? Will it have some effect on the
Yes,
cluster?
it is basically the number of times the centroids will be calculated. No, means the distance for each point to its centroid is calculated. So until the algorithm converges, we ideally have to do that. If max underscore iter is very small, then the algorithm may not even converge. Am I right?
Yeah, you are correct. And what about tolerance?
Tolerance is basically how much convergence we are means from one iteration to another iteration, how much difference we are getting. In the
And we can
sense,
set
how
a
much
particular
variations,
tolerance
how
level,
much
and if we are not getting that much difference, then we can just terminate the algorithm.
terminate the algorithm. Yes.
And if we set higher value of tolerance, then algorithm might last for longer time. And then
No,
it will
it
keep.
is higher value, then convergence will happen faster. No, taller. Uh, If it is very small, then only it will go, means iterate number of iterations will be more. If tolerance is more, then number of iterations needed may be less.
If tolerance is higher, then that means I am allowing that much error. So if we have higher tolerance, then algorithm should continue for longer time.
Higher tolerance in the sense means value is more, right? See, from one iteration to another iteration, if I am okay if only 1 point changes. So this is one. So another one is from one iteration to another point, say 10 points are changing. Okay, so tolerance is 1 in first case and tolerance is 10 in second case.
Right. So if you just say tolerance is 1, in that case,
It needs more number of iterations to bring it to that tolerance level. If tolerance is high, then we are accepting even if 10 points are changing, it is okay for me. So if tolerance is high, then we need less number of iterations. This is my understanding. Anyone?
Like we can
Yes.
understand it with respect to the loss function. Like for example, for a particular maximum iteration, like for example 10 we set the maximum iteration, and for every iteration if the difference between the loss function is equal to the particular criteria set by the tolerance parameter, then we stop.
Good.
Mm.
Yes.
Basically, if we are putting 0.0001 as tolerance, and we see that if the difference between the loss we are getting in every iteration, so we stop. Like this is what the use of tolerance parameter.
Yes, you are right. Basically, based on the loss function, yes.
Yeah, but I'm not able to understand what would be the loss function in k-mean algorithm, because it is clustering algorithm.
It's the difference that you calculate, right? The difference between a point with respect to different means. See, check here, written relative tolerance with regards to norm of the difference in the cluster centers of two consecutive iterations to declare convergence. Like for example, there's a point and the difference it has with respect to two different mean point of the two different cluster. So where it should go? It should go to the first mean cluster or to the second mean cluster. So what is the difference between the norms that you're getting? That is the purpose of
So it is
tolerance.
it is the tolerance is defined as the difference of cluster centers in the
Tolerance is
consecutive
basically
iterations.
a value, like how much you can tolerate. 0.001, if you can tolerate this much, then you converge like this. It's media set. Like you keep on running the algorithm if you don't meet that criteria.
Yeah. So if the distance between two consecutive iterations is greater than tolerance, then we will continue running the algorithm.
Maybe, yeah.
And if it is lesser than the tolerance, then we'll terminate the algorithm.
Yes.
So in k-means, the tolerance is the difference between those two cluster centers. Okay. We are working with the pandas data frame containing a column called product category with these values that are likely. Your task is to create a drop down filter on dashboard to list the unique protect category in the case sensitive and white enter
So the
and
third
white is
question
custom
was
enter.
random state, right?
Sorry, I could not hear you. I think your
I'm saying
voice.
that you take the answer to the third
Oh no, it should be this one.
set random state, no? Yeah.
So the following pandas command will generate the correct list of unique product categories. So we want white spaces to be terminated, and we also want the case insensitive. Okay.
The last option.
So we are taking the. So here we are just ignoring all the spaces, and then we are having we are just doing lower on top of it, and then we are finding the unique. Yeah.
First one or last one means there is only one, this str.
Last one. Because strip is also a string function, so before that we need to put str.
Oh, okay.
B part.
Oh, just a minute. Can you go to the previous question? Okay, so here in first option, if you see str.lower of already converted the things to string, no?
Yeah. So what it will give us, it will give us back a series, and then we'll have to convert it back to string data type.
Okay, okay.
So here there should be one more str in between these two.
Okay, okay, got it.
So anyone want to explain ARIMA model? What it is used for? Was- So ARIMA model is used for some time series analysis where one of the so if we have some x and y kind of thing, then one should be a integer or something that we can work on, and then the another axis will have dates on it. So it is used for time series analysis basically. Used for and what are So it have orders, and the first part comes from the auto-regression part, then second part comes from difference, and the third part comes from the moving average. So here, since there is no moving average, that's why it is 0. But let me ask it for a particular example. Can we get a example and explain each of these methods? Question. Consent. Let us say we have one lag. So yt is current value, c is the constant, and this phi is coefficient for the lagged value, and this is error term. So let me ask, what if lag is 2? Is 2. Will we consider 2 values for predicting next one? Oh, I think I will use the other one. Say 6 data frames. The difference is calculated by subtracting the previous value from the current value. And the difference series is this particular thing. So the first step to do is we subtract the difference. So if we have 17 and then we have 15, so we subtract these two difference. And for calculating for this particular one, then we subtract these two and we get it here. And let us ask if d is 2. D is 2. It means we apply the second difference at the time series in order to make it stationary.
Jivraj,
Yes, Carlton.
Yeah, it might be just worth just understanding the ARIMA function and the what the parameters mean, rather than dwelling too deeply on the. I presume this is about ARIMA, right?
Yeah.
Just what the parameters mean is sufficient, and then we can move forward because JK has sent some of the scenario questions, so we can deal with that sooner.
Sure. Okay. And a specified number of the current value and the previous values. Order P, this is the number of previous time periods to be considered. For example, if this is, we just uses the previous data point. So AR2 uses the previous 2 and so on. The number of times this needs to be differentiated to achieve the stationarity. So AR auto regression part, it just says that the current month sales value will only depend on the previous month's value, and then difference would create the difference between the stationary values from different months. So if it have 1, then it will create something like this. So it will just subtract it once, and then if it is 2, then what it will do, it will subtract from this particular value, it will subtract one more time the same value. We might also consider the error from, and then this error portion, it tells about the from the previous month, what was the difference between the predicted and the actual one to improve our prediction. So this is not from the, so if you want to predict for the next month, then it is about the previous month. It is the difference of what was the sales. So if I want to predict now for the next month, so I already have the sales data for this particular month. So I would have predicted it in the last month for the December month, and at the end of the December, I will have the actual value. This moving average part takes care of those values. So it is just the difference between those two. So order will have a tuple of 3 values. So first will come from auto regression, then second will come from the difference, and then the third one will come from the moving average. You want to analyze if the K is being set correctly. How would you analyze the persons or end properties of the session cookie using the developer tool? So we can have access to the cookies under the application tab, and then we can locate the cookies, and there we will also have the information about the domain and the expiration and those things. So I think this should be the correct one. In console, we won't be having access to it. In elements tab also, we won't be having access to cookies. And then in network tab, we will have access to cookies. But we won't have information such as the expiration and those things. Mm, here, I go here. So here in the response we have good. Hello. Hello. I think option A and B both should be correct one. Hello. Option A should be. In there, actually, we can even go to the application tab. Application tab, and then we can find the cookie from here also. We can find all these cookies listed here as well, along with the domain and those things. So I think both option A and B should be correct. Maybe some mistake is here. Carlton, are you here?
Yes, Yuvraj, go ahead.
So I think in this particular question, both A and B should be correct.
It's greater than x2
Uh,
at 0.5. So if it is greater than 0.5, then it will be labeled as 0. So 0 was the
yeah, that definitely seems to be the case. Yeah, I agree.
while if it is less than on x2 it is fixed rate, if it is less than 0.5, then it will be positive. We can see that
That might have been a question that was supposed to maybe be an MSQ or something.
random from the mixture. What is the probability that decision tree predicts?
Okay.
They had an API error when uploading the mock, so
So what would be the answer for this question? Anyone want to answer? Uh, So Folium is not a web-based tool. It creates the graph on the local system and OpenStreet to obtain the raw geospatial data for visualization.
And sir, what about C?
What about
C.
B?
C option.
C.
Mm-hmm.
Are you saying C for cat?
Yeah, C for cat. Yeah.
Okay. So what is the use of QGIS?
QGIS is used for analyze the geospatial data. No?
As your voice is breaking, it's too low basically. Can you speak a little louder?
Mm. Okay, now.
Yeah, now it is okay.
Yeah, so QGIS is used for analyze the geospatial data, no? And this is the web-based.
Is it desktop based or web based?
This is the web-based, no? Oh, sorry.
Desktop.
Yeah, here it is desktop. But originally, like really is like it is web-based, no?
I think it was desktop based only.
I think it is desktop based only.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think option A, B, and C would be correct. Because Folium is not web based. GeoPandas allows it is compatible with Pandas data frame, right?
So why won't Folium be the correct answer? Because it creates interactive maps, right?
But it's not web based, it's a Python module.
But you can deploy it, no? You can create a web-based application, no, by deploying it.
Mm.
Sir, among the options, Folium is the most suitable, I guess.
My vote is also for that only.
So whichever libraries. So OpenStreet won't be correct because it says not a library. That's why OpenStreet should not be correct. And then QGIS, uh, it is also not a package. These two are the options that are left with.
Maybe we can ask GPT what it thinks. Well, what's the right answer and why?
I am run out of tokens for this GPT.
Then use the different account. Maybe it work.
Okay. Mm.
Why is question?
London.
So I just checked on the GPT, TDS GPT. It said it chose option B, and it said it's because it can be used for creating interactive web-based visualizations. Uses leaflet.js under the hood, which can be used for making interactive maps. So seems like according to TDS GPT, it's option Folium is the right option.
Carlton, any idea on how many questions will be there in NTERM?
I think it will be
30 to 40.
yeah, maybe around, yeah, I would say 30 to 40 questions, something like that.
Okay. At least 50% will be easy so that we can pass the exam. So now I
Yeah,
think it is becoming very vague and what to say out
yeah,
of
yeah. Yeah, the half the questions will be easy.
okay.
Sort of meet. When I say easy, it's like
At least we can
relatively
guess
easy.
the answer. We should be able to guess the answer.
Yeah, yeah. So there will. So basically, there will be, I think, roughly 16 or 14. No, sorry, 13 different sections of things they will test you on, and
Okay.
then that will have roughly the scenario based sections will have more questions. So the problem there is you'll have to read the scenario carefully, and you'll get multiple questions for each scenario. So you may get I would say roughly something like maybe 20 questions in scenarios. So
Okay.
Sir, can we solve some scenario-based questions in this session?
yeah,
Do
yeah,
you have?
as soon as Jivraj is finished finishing the set that is there, then the next we'll we have managed to get hold of a few scenarios that you can get a sense for what to expect in the end term.
Okay, shall we proceed?
Okay, so what is the relationship between p-value and significance level?
If p-value is less than significance level, then we have to reject the null hypothesis.
And we say the test is significant, right? So the variable is influencing the other variable. So number of bedrooms have some significance on the house, because if this is less than if p-value is less than significance level, then we say so we reject the null, and then we also say it is significant. It has some impact on the other. Should we check the answers? Okay. Okay, so answers will be available after the deadline. I think option D should be correct.
Okay, Jivraj, I've shared with you the first scenario. You can open it in your system.
In the graded assignment 4, you have solved the below type of question. So we have got a packet file that have 4 different columns. One is departure delay, and then arrival delay, then distance, and the scheduled departure. Sorry about this.
So scenario questions are more like GA questions.
It will be of this form. So you will get a scenario at the top, and then they will ask several questions at the bottom. So this is a good example of what a scenario-based question would look like. Jivraj, are you able to share the link? I think I made you editor on there, so you can share the link with everyone so they can see what it looks like. So if you guys just open up and have a look, then you'll be able to see what a scenario-based question will look like. As soon as you solve this first scenario, then I'll upload the next one. So Jivraj, after about say 5 minutes, then we can start solving these questions.
Yeah.
So everyone, just please read through it and see what how you find it, and then we'll start discussing the question.
Initial weights are all same.
Also, Jivraj, just pin the message. Pin the message.
Incorrect classification.
Sir, what you have shared, will the questions in the end term be like this? Because the questions are way straightforward.
This is just a sort of example, okay? I mean, they won't be exactly like this, but this is a kind of type of questions you might see, right? This is, of course, a very small scenario, but some scenarios will be much bigger than this. So we will share with you two more scenarios for this mock.
Sir, will those scenarios be the exact replica of what we will have to face in the end term?
It's not going to be a replica. We are not giving you the question paper, right? We're giving you an appreciation of what you might face in the end term.
Okay, so the difficulty level will be similar, I guess, for the next two scenarios that we will share.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of to give you the sense of it, right? So that's the whole purpose of the mock. The whole purpose of the mock is to get you a sense of, and I've always said this, right? TDS end term is not difficult. TDS end term is fairly easy. But the main difference from previous terms is they have made it a bit more lengthy, so that you take more time with the question paper, and they'll test you more on more things. But the difficulty level will not be very high.
Okay, thank you.
So anyone would like to answer these questions? Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So, Anu, would you like to answer these questions?
Um, B for first one. Is it B?
Mm, yeah, yeah, it will be. What about the second one?
Again B.
B. And the third one?
Again B.
Mm,
No, no. Is it?
And do I need to import Pyro, or can I just work with pandas itself?
I'm not sure about the answer.
I think we just need to import pandas. Okay.
Okay, I've got the second scenario. I'm going to paste a link in the chat box so you guys can look at the second scenario.
Yes. I think we need to import both these modules, and also this is more because it's about both of them. Do we import it as PA?
Also, just something to keep in mind, when it comes to the final exam, the question paper will be a lot more robust. Okay, it won't be. This mock is largely an unvalidated question set, so there may be issues with it. But when it comes to the final exam, the questions are a lot more robust in its what it's asking, and it will be a lot more clear, and it won't although this gives you a flavor, don't I would not expect it to be this unrefined, so to speak. Okay, it'll be a far more refined. The questions will always be a bit more refined for the end term.
Yeah, see, what I'll show you the proper not process.
Alton, there won't be any questions related to imports, right?
Not sure.
Basically, this option B is superset of option A, so that is one reasoning to select option B.
I mean, it's safe to say that I don't think they will ask import questions. That's probably safe to say.
In the second,
In the second,
sorry, this was about the next scenario that he uploaded. So I thought I'll wait till the system.
okay. So we have the delay in minutes, and then here also we do have delay in minutes, and this tells about the distance, and this is on the time of departure. So the filters that we want to put on is the distance should be less than 700 miles, and the departure should be between 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. So the valid filter according to that will be on the distance. For the time filter, how should we represent 21 00, that is 9 p.m. in the decimal format?
Option A.
Option A. Okay.
Sorry, no, option B. Option B. 21.00.
Yeah, so it should be option B. What about question 6?
Option B.
Option B. And this is from
option B.
Here.
Option B.
Yes. And what about this one?
Again B.
Sorry, A and B.
It should be C, no? Departure delay and arrival delay.
Yeah, it's C.
There is no variable scheduled departure.
Yeah, it
No,
should
there
be
is.
option C only.
I think it will be option C.
Yeah.
Because both of them talks about the delay and It's more reasonable to find that. Wait a minute. Yeah, so it is option. Departure delay and arrival delay.
So Jivraj, I've pasted a link for the the second scenario.
So the second scenario has a question to actually calculate using the Haversine formula. Is it expected we do the calculation?
You can expect some forms of calculations in the end term, yes. But what the calculations may be depends on the scenario and what they ask you.
No, actual mathematical square root calculation of Haversine.
So if there is if there is some complex function to compute, they will give you the formula. It's not that they will not give you the formula.
Yeah, but they have given the formula. How is it even relevant? We are not in TDS. We would be using a function to calculate the Haversine, right?
Yeah, I
Why
mean,
would you?
I agree with you, but this is what we've been given. So this is um, this is something that they decided that it was worth having. This kind of manual calculation. I think the idea behind it is for you to read the scenario and answer the questions. So with regards to calculations, I totally agree with you, Preena. I think it's silly to have. I mean, I had this
No, even
discussion with.
in maths too, we don't have that kind of calculation.
Yeah. I mean, I had the same discussion with Jivraj as well, and we were very. I can safely say we were very against having any calculation-based questions, but you can expect some type of not a lot, but maybe some type of calculation-based questions will come. And the point of it that I was told is that you should read the scenario to be able to answer the question. So that's the whole logic behind it. But I my hands are a little bit tied with regard to this. But we have made it very clearly known to the team that this is not suitable if students have to do calculations. But feel free to say on discourse as well. And the other thing is this session is recorded, right? So I feel confident for it to be on the record as well. That we clearly did not think that calculation based questions should be there in TDS. So I'm on your side.
So finally, for GA averaging, how many is it? Best four or what is it?
Yeah, it will be what was decided um, when the amendment was made sometime during in the middle of the term, right? Instead of 5 of 7, it is 4 of 7. So that's what
Yeah.
will be. This mock will be considered GA7. Okay, since it's very close to the end of time, what I'll do is I'll just quickly go over some small housekeeping things for NTERM, Jivraj. So I'll just share a few things before we wind up, okay?
Sure.
So please excuse the noise. So if there's some difficulty with the noise levels, I can't really control that at the moment. Okay. So Aishwarya, this session will be uploaded onto YouTube as soon as the video has been prepared by Google. So most likely tonight or early tomorrow morning it will be uploaded. Okay.
Actually, the links in calendar lead to last term's playlist. So only yesterday I found the September playlist.
Oh, right. I was not aware of that. That's the first I've heard of that. Um, I'll inform. Yeah, so we can't control that. But what I can do is I can inform the instructor
I
to change
think
the.
somebody posted it in Discourse, the playlist. No,
Okay,
no,
okay,
they didn't. Maybe you could post it here.
okay. Yeah, right. So let me. So one thing I wanted to touch base on. So I know that in the last session that we had, which if you have not watched it, I still highly recommend you watch that session because that will give you a good sense of things that you should be looking at in terms of your preparation. This what I want to share with you now is a little more focused in the sense that at least pay attention to these things. That's not to say you shouldn't pay attention to the things that we discussed in the previous session, but if you're short of time and you want to just get sufficient marks to get by, right, then these things will be valuable to just keep in mind. Okay. So things that are likely to be tested on, right? So they are likely to test you on some Excel functions, as you've seen. Okay. So Excel functions with regards to data cleaning. Okay. And also, be familiar with things like text to columns. Then the next thing is so you've seen some k-means items, right? Now this has always been there every term, so there is almost a high probability that there will be something on this. Okay, but when it comes to this, it will be the kind of things you've just seen, very simple uh, aspects of it. So um, just what I would suggest is if you don't know anything at all about k-means, just ask GPT to give you a brief summary about it, and it will give you a
So it will
reasonable
be
idea.
similar to the PYQ K-means.
Yeah, yes, it will be very similar to past PYQ k-means. It will be similar to what was looked at today. So that's something to just be aware of. Um, then anything with regards to pandas. Okay, this shouldn't surprise you. Okay, we have used pandas a lot, so just review some of the things work we have done in the past with regards to pandas. Again, it is largely to do with data cleaning and that sort of thing, right? So that's something to keep in mind. um, I mean, I would say you're likely to get more than one question on this particular aspect of it. Okay, so what I'll do is, in fact, I'll do this and say like this. Okay, and then um, something always is there every term on ARIMA. And with regards to ARIMA, just understand the basic structure of the command, what the parameters are, and the order of those parameters. Okay, so that when they ask you any sort of question regarding that, then you will be able to answer it. Again, if you don't really know it very well, just ask GPT to give you a good summary of it. So you'll get a reasonable understanding of it. And look at past PYQs. That's an excellent example of what they would look like. New for this term would be things about DevTools. Okay, we have consistently seen that this is something that they will most likely ask you about. Okay, so be familiar with the DevTools, particularly the sessions where Jivraj took with regards to usage of DevTools. So um, definitely keep in mind that, cookies obviously is a important aspect of it, how to deal with that, and then of course some other things also, but these are the highlights, I would say. Okay, then the next thing I would say is geospatial libraries. So again, every term there is something on this, right? So you're almost guaranteed to get a question on anything related with geospatial. This includes things like QGIS and all, but it'll be simplistic questions, but it won't be very complicated questions. It's like the ones you've seen, but at least you should be aware. Okay, this is a QG, this is a geospatial library. This is what it's used for, that sort of thing. Next thing would be so in one of the sessions, I think it was week 6 or week 7 module, not session, sorry, in one of the modules, they had talked about regression analysis, right? So again, they or statistical analysis using regression. So you saw a question today with p-values, right? So be familiar with those sorts of things. I'll just call it statistical analysis. Okay. Um, and I can put in here regression, but there was a module video where in Excel the instructor was talking about this aspect of it. You're very likely to get a question on this. Okay, then the next thing is something about open refine, for example. Okay, um, in open refine, they won't ask you how to do something, but rather they may ask you a question which may ask, what tool to use to do a certain type of cleanup, right? So then you should know um, what tool would be suitable, and in terms of data cleanup, what you use open refine for. Just be familiar with that. Okay. um, in fact, let me say this also. Okay, so DevTools, just I'm stressing this point again, right? So that you're aware. Then okay, next thing, almost every term, there's a Streamlit question. So Streamlit commands. Typically, there would have been a GA for this. GA7 typically would have had Streamlit commands, but unfortunately, this is something that uh, the ball was dropped as far as operations was concerned. They failed to get GA7 out, so we could not discuss GA7 with you. But in the previous session, I gave you some pointers to it in terms of what to look for in terms of documentation. So go to the Streamlit documentation, look for basic commands. So some important ones would be, so this is basic in every Streamlit application. Okay, you're almost always going to write something to the screen. So Streamlit write, and then you're almost always going to input something, right? So there'll be Streamlit, I think it's called input text or something. Just check. Okay, I don't remember the exact thing, but there are some few. Oops, there are some. What happened here? There are some few basic functions of Streamlit to input things um, into the UI that you're going to use. Okay, so just be familiar with that, and like I said, look at the previous session that we had, and you will know. Oops, you will know what I'm talking about there. But Streamlit commands, you're likely to get at least one question about it. Then scenarios. So all scenario based questions. So there will be most likely 3 or 4 scenarios. These will be very lengthy. Okay. In fact, the one that I uploaded you is gives you an idea of how lengthy they will be. Okay. Some will be a little bit shorter, some will be lengthy, some will be mid-size. There'll be a lot of reading to do with them. There will be several questions with regards to it. So there may be like, it will carry a lot of weight in your exam, the scenarios. They will largely center around LLM interactions. Okay, so be familiar with all aspects of LLMs. And these scenarios will deal with interactions with LLMs, and then it'll ask you questions um, based on those interactions that the scenario talks about. And it'll ask you some general questions also. So it'll say, do you trust the LLM to do this sort of work? So can someone tell me an example of what LLM is bad at?
Numbers.
Yeah, so dealing with direct computational mathematics, that would be bad, right? So things like that. They may ask you some general questions also with regards to the scenario, and then they will ask you more specific questions. And the only way you would have been able to answer those questions is by looking and reading that scenario. Okay, so the justification for that, again, we did not set this up. The justification we were given for that is apparently in other NPTEL courses, they sometimes give long scenario based questions, and then they feel happy to be able to do that for this course. So I'm not going to comment about that, but that's what has been decided. I would expect, let's say, I would say at least 50% of your marks will be in this itself. Okay, that's why I'm putting lots of stars. Okay, and the questions themselves will not be difficult, but be prepared to understand that that's where half the marks will be, and the rest will come from all these things. Okay, and that's what I wanted to just share with you from a being more focused approach. That doesn't mean this is an exclusive list, but these are some things that will at least help you get decent marks, I would say. Okay, so I hope that was helpful. So I'll revert back to you, Jivraj. You can carry on.
Always pay attention to keywords in the question. Okay, because if you don't understand, you need to decipher the question. So consider a linearly independent set of data points. So this is your data.
So to find the no, what is the question? So here we have chat between a student and GPT. So the student says he wants to calculate the number of eateries that are within 657 meters. From the other eateries. So, response from GPT was this. Then on behalf of when a student asks for the formula, it just give the formula that can be used. And it also took an example to show how the calculations worked. This is why to use. So what are the possible errors that I can encounter while doing the calculation? What should I be careful about? Thank you. I will be sure that I will correctly and solve. So these are the questions that needs to be answered. So Haversine distance computation. These questions focus on understanding and calculation of distances using Haversine formula.
Jivraj, we can ignore any calculation based questions, okay? Because we don't need to do those.
Sure, sure. So two entities are this and that. And then if the radius of the Earth is taken to be these many meters, what is the approximate different distance between iterative 1 and iterative 2? So we need to apply the formula that is listed by GPT. In correct use of Haversine formula, you are tasked with calculating the distance between two itineraries with the following data. So we have got longitude and latitude of those two itineraries. What is the first step you should perform to ensure the Haversine formula correctly works? Add 90 degree to both latitude and longitude to avoid negative values. Convert the latitude and longitude from degree to radians. Normalize the latitude and longitude in the range of 0 to 360. Check if latitude and longitude are non-negative before calculating. So here if we start reading the scenario, so mentions about the data, and this might be the data, and then key concept for since here this the great circle, input for latitude and longitude, output will be the distance. So we load the data and we explore the generate all possible pair, calculate the Haversine distance, identify close pair, count the number of. So these are the steps that we need to follow, and then possible challenges are handling large data sets and then numerical precision. So what I'm trying to find what could be the correct one out of the listed options. So do we have to add 98 degrees? So all those information should be above, listed above. Optimization idea: reduce duplicate pair, use vectorization, reduce memory, final thoughts, problem solving mindset, break down the problem into pairs, generation, distance calculation, filtering, and counting, and test with the small dataset performance checks. So these never tells about what we need to do before actually calculating the distance. The formula is this: the distance between these two pairs, radius of Earth, latitude of the location A, location B. Steps by breakdown: convert degree to radians. Since trigonometric functions like sine and cosine work with radians, you first convert latitude and longitude from degree to radian. So this should be correct one.
So one thing to keep in mind is when the scenario-based questions come, I've been told that they have looked on the TCS ION system, and what will happen is the scenario will always be visible, and your answer options will also always be visible. So you don't have to lose sight of what your answer options are. So that's what I've been told by operations. Okay. So that's what they've told me.
Cause CSV handling dry formatting solution. Check for the distance. So these are not part of the options. And then in create data format, string instead of float. attitude and may read as strings. So this is particularly for the programming logic. So we cannot answer that particular question based on this one. And calculation issues floating point precision error. Since these are calculated using floating point numbers, rounding error may accumulate. Must be in the radian. So we need to convert it to the radians and correct our sign formula implementation. Problems, some small typos in the formula can lead to the something like this is for counting the duplicates, and this is for self pair. Handling edge cases, this is to consider the edge cases. If two entities are exactly same location, the distance will be 0, but it should be counted as a pair. Too many distance calculations. So there are n, then these are the complexity of the algorithm. Memory uses run a small test file, then edge cases should be included, and then check the hour sign calculation. And then these are the common errors that might be there. This is data issues, missing values, string instead of float, degree instead of radians, floating point precision, and self pair, too many distance calculation, memory overflow. So for this particular question, option B is the only one that is correct, that I can understand based on the scenario given.
Jivraj, I think that's probably enough for today. So that gives everyone an idea, right? So they all have the link to the file, so they can see what it's like. So, but yeah. So, are there any questions before we wind up today's session? Because I think we have covered the virtually everything that's possibly going to come. So, do you guys have any questions before we close the session today?
Carton, can we expect questions on Tableau?
Uh, no, I don't think there will be any questions on Tableau.
Yeah, because it was one mentioned in only one video and nothing more than that I could see in our
Yeah,
course content.
I mean, with regards to Tableau, the see, the thing is, I don't think there will be, okay. Mainly because, like you said, we've not really dealt with Tableau. Tableau is, I think, a paid for application, so there's almost very, very, very little chance that anything will come regarding Tableau. Is my
Okay,
is
because
what
I
I
visited PYQs and they are flooded with Tableau questions, so I just wanted to make sure that we
yeah.
know.
I if there is anything with regards to Tableau, it would only be in terms of asking you uh, what it might be used for, right? So
Okay.
something along those lines they may ask.
Yeah, that has
Um,
been covered in the introduction video.
yeah. So, but apart from that, I would be very surprised if there were.
Oh,
Um, Again, sometimes I'm not entirely sure what kinds of questions will come, but this is something. If any question comes, then I think that's something that you can always raise and say, there wasn't any material regarding Tableau apart from the introduction video, because I think you've all seen the videos, right? I don't think I've seen Tableau talked about in any module except in an intro video, right? In week 7 or something. Am I correct?
correct, correct.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So if they ask anything, you're almost certainly to guarantee to get that as a freebie mark. And in fact, if I see it in the end term question paper, I will definitely raise it with operations and say that they need to actually award all students the marks. So I would strongly advocate that position if it ever turned up in an end term.
Fine, fine.
Any other questions?
DS3. Okay, DS3.
Okay, well, I think this is our last session, right? So I'll say all the best to you guys if there's no other questions, and wish you well in
Could
the.
they send us an email once the mock is fully uploaded?
Yes, they will send an email. I think they said once it's fully uploaded and available, they will not. The email will also contain the details about what I said, which is regards to mock being considered as GA7. They'll give you till 9 o'clock on Saturday to submit it, and then that can be considered as your GA7. They'll send an announcement in the portal as well, and an email.
What about project 1 and project 2 marks?
So project, I'll answer the project two part first. So project two, there is so we have to run everyone's scripts on our server, and that will take, so there was roughly about 700 submissions. They will run it against 5 data sets, and each runtime will take, say, roughly 120 seconds per data set that's being evaluated. So even running it parallelly, we expect it to take about 4 days of the server running 24/7. Our hope is that we will have the results by the 22nd of December, but I'm uncertain. But that's the best answer I can give you at the moment. That's what I know, and that's what I've shared with you. Project one. Sorry, yeah, go ahead,
Project
Meena.
1 was supposed to have a peer review component, no? So can we see the breakup?
Yeah, so project one, you will be able to see the breakup, I believe. Again, I'm about 80% sure about that, but I'll discuss that with operations, how they can make that visible. I know that we are able to see it. So we know, for example, if someone asks us, and I don't recommend all of you suddenly flooding our email boxes with asking, but we are able to see the reviews. Um, but with regards to making it visible to students, I'll have to discuss with operations how they'll go about doing that. It is with operations, they have all the information. We have provided them everything that they require for it. They just have not got around to doing it, which is publishing the scores and dealing with repos that did not receive reviews. So these two things have not been completely sorted out on their end. So they're coming up with a solution to that, and I think that's part of the reason why they've been delayed, along with some other reasons, unforeseen circumstances and things like that. Again, there's nothing that's in our hands at the moment in terms of nothing I can do personally, other than keep annoying them. Nothing Jivraj can do, nothing even Anand for that matter at this point. He he has handed over, like you said, as the TDS team, we have completely handed over to operations. It's in their hands now. So we are kind of limited to how fast they get around to doing it. Yes, Anu.
For project 2, we received an email from Anand sir,
Okay.
and I want to know what is the significance of that email. Like, I could see my roll number in that result CSV file.
Okay.
So, like,
So that was more to do with just giving you a sense of if your submissions are okay. I mean, then they were, that was not a hard eval. Okay, it was just a rough guideline to you. I think the email was sent before the submission deadlines, right? If I'm not
yes,
mistaken.
yes.
Yeah. So that was just to give you a sense of, okay, I'm kind of on the right track, and my submission will be okay. So that's all it was. The final evaluation script the plan was never to reveal the final evaluation script anyway, and it's a lot more fine grained, very thorough, more robust in terms of dealing with errors and things of that sort. So um, but that's what the email was for, just to give you a sort of heads up in case something was dramatically wrong with your submission. You would at least be able to rectify it before you send it in.
Whatever topics that you mentioned just sometimes back,
Yeah.
other than the scenario-based questions,
Yes.
can we expect the other topics, the questions for other topics from PYQs?
So you were there in the session a bit earlier, right?
Yeah,
Sai?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I'd listed some things on the pad. So those were valuable to focus on those areas. But last session also I covered things that. The previous session, what was useful is I told you what not to learn and what to learn, right? So that in that sense, both sessions are useful. Today you got a sense of the mock. Got a sense of what the final would look like, and you also got a sense of the areas that almost guaranteed to always have questions from. That does not mean that today's list that I put on the pad was exclusive. There can be things that come from other areas, but the other areas I covered in the previous session. So if you watch today's session and if you were there for previous session, then you'll be in good shape.
No, my question was actually, yeah, I have been in both the sessions. My
Yeah.
question was that, see, just you mentioned some topics like
Yes.
just some days back on this notepad. Okay.
Yeah.
In that, there is one 50% weightage was there for the scenario-based questions, and balance
Yes.
were there some more other topics. Okay.
Yes.
So what my question is that from the other topics, can we expect questions from POQs also, or it will be something different?
Yes. Yes. I mean, so like Streamlit, I mentioned, right?
Yeah.
Streamlit and ARIMA and K-means clustering and KNN clustering.
Yeah, yeah. Then
So those have
executions
been in,
and all.
yeah.
Yeah.
So those
So
have been in previous
basically,
years.
there is value in going through PYQs.
There is some value, yes. But let's say, for example, if you did all the PYQs, you will, maybe you will be able to get at least, say, 20-25% of the marks, for example, from there, maybe less. Let's say 20%, just to be conservative. So if you did all the previous PYQs, maybe you can score 20%. So that's depends on how significant that is to you, right? So every bit counts, then it's worth it.
Yeah. Okay.
But I highlighted what would be useful from previous PYQs if you were going through them.
Fine.
So I
Fine.
hope
Thank you.
that gives you some bit more focused direction on what to look for.
Yeah, yeah.
And the syllabus was same only from 22 or 23.
Um, the syllabus has constantly changed. So this year there were a lot of changes.
Yeah, but
And
the professor also changed before, I mean, after 22, I think is.
okay, I'm not aware. But I know that some of the things that were there before. So, like when they were generating or deciding on what questions that would be dealt with in terms of the end term, there were lots of questions in there that were from a previous data bank, that had no relevance to anything we have done in this term, right? So we had to clean out all those and say, look, students have not studied this because it's not part of the syllabus at all. So in that sense, if you just look at previous terms, all the things that are there in previous terms, there will be things that will not be relevant. So like someone was saying about Tableau, right? It's not relevant because we don't actually teach it. There's not a single video module on it. So it's not reasonable to ask students questions on Tableau, right? So, but it used to be part of the syllabus before. Similarly, there were some other things that used to be there before. I think Comic Gen was one of them, and I think for next term they will remove Comic Gen and replace it with LLM based image generation subject material. So next term students will get access to DALI and use that in their narratives and things of that sort. So things are constantly changing. I mean, that's the beauty of tools for data science. It's a very dynamic field that's very cutting edge.
Okay, so we are on this point. Yeah. So yeah, now this question. This is again
Any other
same. We have
questions?
already seen this.
I mean, I hope I answered your question, right?
they are doing construct on concept. So when
Okay.
C is equal to zero, your output is actually
Okay. Any other questions?
so this is same. Okay. So now this question.
Okay. If there are no other questions, then I'll wish you all the best, guys and girls. I'm sure you will do well. Particularly, I'm confident of that because you watched our session. Typically, we find that students who watch our sessions do well. So I'm hopeful that you will all have smiles on your face at the end of the exam. All right. Thank you very much. And we'll be sending out 2 forms.